Good evening, everybody. My name is Seth Eisenberg, and this is the Conservative Corner. So if you're here, you're in the right place. If you weren't looking for me, I don't know where you're supposed to be, but you can hang out if you want to. You might actually like it. So I hope everybody is having a good weekend. It was nice weather. I mean, here it was. I don't know how it was where everybody else was, but it was nice. 75, 80 degrees, a little breezy. Got to hang out with my kid all weekend, so that was a good deal. That couldn't do much, but that's another story. But yeah, and it's back to the grind tomorrow, unless you hit lottery this weekend. And if you did, congratulations. And if you did, give me a call. Maybe you can give me a loan, so I don't have to go to work tomorrow. I can dream. But yeah, hope everybody had a good weekend. Go back to work. Holiday season's rolling around pretty quick. We got what? Halloween, which is not really a holiday. Then we got Thanksgiving and Christmas, the New Year. So yeah, year's winding down pretty quick. It's like, I remember yesterday was like February 1st. It's been very quick. But I guess it's better than being very slow. All right, let's get right into it. This weekend, Russia again attacked Ukraine. 5 people were killed, drones and missiles. Apparently, the attack took place really close to the Polish border, so they scrambled their jets just in case. I don't know if they're doing it because they legitimately think there's going to be an issue, or if they're just trying to be drama queens. I don't know. To be honest, I don't care. It's over there. Let it stay over there. This war is going to keep going until somebody runs out of money or they come to an agreement on something. And as long as we're backing Ukraine, they're not going to run out of money. So that's not going to happen. But it's a war we don't need to be in. We have no business being over there. We're prolonging it. The U.S. is prolonging this conflict and causing more damage and death. We need to back out and let the chips fall where they may. It's really that simple. I never understood why we were involved in that in the first place. I mean, Democrats hate the Ukraine, then they love the Ukraine, then they hate the Ukraine, then they love you. It's ridiculous, and I'm tired of hearing about it, and I don't ever want to talk about it again. So we probably won't, because, like I said, I'm over it. See what else we got. I got notes. Let me get my notes out. Not it. There we go. No, that's not it. Where are we? Right there. Yep. Diddy. P. Diddy was found guilty what was he found guilty of? He was found guilty of taking sex workers across state line. He was sentenced to 50 months. I think that's 4 years, right around 4 years, 50 months, and $500,000 in fines. He didn't get convicted of human trafficking or sex trafficking, which would have been much, much longer. The judge said Combs claims that escorts were paid for their time and not sex was flatly inconsistent with both reality and any acceptance of responsibility. And after hearing for hours about the mogul's charitable endeavors, the judge said a history of good works can't wash away the record in this case. So the judge wasn't here. I think apparently he could have gotten more than the 4 years. I think it could have gone to 11, if I remember correctly. The district attorney in New York asked for a sentence of more than 11 years to reflect Combs, P. Diddy's decades of unchecked violence. But the judge, I guess, figured 4 years was enough. And I'm not sure how it works for like famous people when they go to prison. I don't know if they go to Gen Pop or they get like something done differently for them. I'm not sure because it's going to be hard to deal with a fame. Well, he won't be famous after a year. He'll be inmate 755525. But until that time, he's going to be famous and people are going to be hounded for interviews and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how they handle that. I've never been to prison and I've never been famous. So I don't know how that would work. I'd assume he'd be separated from other people. I assume. I don't know. I guess I would think that would make dealing with him easier if they did that. But I don't know. I don't know how they would do that with him. But I'm sure there's going to be some precautions taken. I mean, there has to be. I mean, he's famous. Not that he should be treated any different than any other criminal, but we got to be realistic about it. He's P. Diddy and all that entails. So yeah, I'm sure that's going to be. I would hate to be an employee in that prison now when that guy gets there because it's going to be a madhouse for the first couple of months. Phone calls, wanting to come in and interview him, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but yeah, you got 4 years, $500,000 in fines. People are saying 4 years isn't enough. If you've never been to prison before, 4 hours is enough. He'll be there for 4 years. But it's a long time. Is it what he should have gotten? No, but you're never going to find justice. So you got to take what you can get. 4 years and 500 grand. The money probably not such a bit. Well, I don't know. He's had to have lawyers for a while. He could be tapped, but then again, idiots will start a GoFundMe for him and he'll pay all his fines. So the money's not going to hurt him. It's the time. 4 years is a long time in prison. I mean, because he's not a big dude. And even if he was a big dude, people, like I said, people are going to want to test him. Like, ooh, that's P. Diddy. I'm going to go kick his ass. I'll be famous. That's going to be the problem. That's why I'm thinking maybe they're going to separate him or whatever. I don't know. But 4 years is a long time. That's a long time. And he probably won't do all 4, you figure, with what good behavior and his lawyers and all that kind of crap. 2.5, maybe 3. But still, that's 2.5, 3 years in prison. And that's plenty. That'd be more than enough for me. I'd learn my lesson then. But that's just me. Dave Chappelle used to think he was funny. He used to actually think, thought he stood up for things and, fought the establishment. If you're unaware, he took money to do and did a comedy show with some other comedians in Saudi Arabia. Not the most free country in the world. And while he was there, they interviewed him after that, and he said, while performing at the comedy show in Saudi Arabia, he said it in Saudi Arabia, it's easier to talk here than it is in America. So he's in a Muslim country where women are, degraded and treated like cattle, where you can't speak out against the religion, where they cut people's hands off and throw homosexuals off the buildings, pretty much anything they don't like to kill you for. And he says it's easier to speak freely in Saudi Arabia than it is in America. I don't know. The government of Saudi Arabia uses broad anti-terrorism and cybercrime laws to silence and imprison dissidents, activists, and critics, often for peaceful social media posts. But he thinks it's easier to talk there. One of the things they do is arbitrary arrests. Authorities continue to arbitrarily arrest and detain individuals who exercise their right to free speech. But according to Chappelle, it's easier to talk over there. Lengthy prison sentence. Saudi courts, particularly in Specialized Criminal Court, SCC, have handed down lengthy prison sentences for peaceful dissidents. For example, individuals have received decade-long sentences for their social media activity. But then again, according to David Chappelle, it's much easier to talk in Saudi Arabia than it is here. See, that's the problem with people when they get famous. They think that they're smarter and they have something to say that people want to hear. You don't. You don't get any smarter. I think you might. I think you might even regress. You get stupider because you actually think you're important, and you're not. You were there to entertain people, make them laugh. Now, if you're dumb enough to go to a country that does all that and to entertain them, don't lecture me about what's going on in this country. You're in a country where I literally just told you they put people in prison for decades for social media posts they don't like. They arrest people for things they don't like. They execute people for things. We really need to get away from Hollywood. I think the hardest I've laughed all week is when I saw that thing about the AI actress that all the actors and actresses in Hollywood are upset about. I think it's great. I hope it puts them all out of a job. I hope people like this fool and other people in Hollywood finally have to get off their ass and do some real work because the computers replace them. I laughed out loud for a solid 10 minutes when I saw all the actors and the Stage Actors Guild complaining about the AI actors and that, that we can't do that. I say keep it up. Make more of them. I would love it. It's funny. But yeah, another uneducated fool running their mouth, trying to sound educated and witty and edgy, not knowing that he's in a country and defending a country that kills people for being gay or speaking out against the government. All sorts of stupid things, but he thinks it's easier to speak there than Americans. Then pack up your shit, move over there, man. We won't miss you. I won't lose a night of sleep. Now, I don't know if you've all seen this. Let me make this bigger. Damon the Hammer Galdo, who has another podcast on this network, sent this to me today. He's going to talk about it on his show tomorrow. So I really don't want to dwell on it too much. But I kind of want to go over it. Trying to think how we should do this. Because like I said, I don't want to steal his thunder. So I think there's more than one sheet. So we'll just cover this sheet. He can cover the entire questionnaire tomorrow. All right. So it starts off with Inspira Healthcare. Our mission is to provide a safe and compassionate experience that improves the health and well-being of our community by placing the safety of our patients and the support of our employees at the center of all we do. To enhance our ability to fulfill our mission, as well as comply with recently enacted state legislation, we are requesting information below on your sexual orientation and gender identity. Please complete the questionnaire and return it to a staff member performing your registration. Now, the way it reads, you would think they're asking questions about you. Like, what do you identify as? Are you transsexual? Are you gay? You're non-binary? Whatever. The way it reads, you would think that they're talking about you. So the patient's name, and it says in parentheses, newborn. So this is where you're registering to have a baby. So I guess if you have your baby's name already picked out, you put it, and then the date of birth for the child. What sex was your baby assigned at birth? These are legitimate questions from a hospital. Do you identify your baby as a female, a male, transgender female, trans, woman to male to female, trans male to trans man, female to male, gender queer, neither exclusively male or female, or additional gender, so they can make their kid, I don't know, a wombat or whatever it is they call them. I don't know. Which of the following best describes your baby? Your baby. Remember, that's the key word here. Your baby. Lesbian or gay, straight or heterosexual, bisexual. Does your baby self-describe? And if so, please specify. Questioning, unsure, or you prefer not to answer for your baby. This is a legitimate question. I trust, like I said, Damon, I trust the Hammer. He sent it to me, says it comes from a hospital. I believe him. Yeah, this is what America's becoming. This is a joke. And this is why I keep telling everybody all the time, you can't expect Trump, one person, to change everything. We can't throw everything down at his feet and say, here, fix this. Because, see, this stuff is still happening. What we need to do is we need to get away from politicians. They're not going to help us. They allow these things to happen so that they can come in front of you and go, hey, look, I can fix this. You have to elect me. And then we elect them. And lo and behold, this keeps going on. And then 3 years down the road, oh, wait, election time's coming up. Hey, I can fix that. I've got everything worked out now. I know what I got to do, but you got to reelect me and I can fix it. And that cycle continues. And sheep keep voting for the same people because they tell them the same things. We need to stop doing that. It's a hospital apparently now owned by a corporation. The best thing you can do is hit them in the wallet. Don't go there anymore. Stop going there. Have your baby somewhere else. I'm sure there's other. Jersey is a pretty populated state. I'm sure there's more than one hospital. Go to that hospital. Seriously. We got to stop looking for politicians to help fix the problems that they're creating. And it says in there that new legislation enacted in the state. What state what's been going on there? What new legislation has been enacted that they feel that they have to answer that, or that they have the right to ask that? I don't know. I don't live in New Jersey, so that's my fault. I'm not aware of what legislation they're referring to that makes them think it's okay to assume that your newborn baby is going to self-identify and, start talking about themselves and, hey, mom, dad, I still poop my pants, but I am bisexual. Come on. This is ridiculous. And unless we stop it, it's only going to get worse. Excuse me. So yeah, that's going on right now in Sparrow Hospital in New Jersey. And Damon Gallardo, like you said, he's going to get more into it tomorrow. He's going to get really into it. So I don't want to dwell on this too much. I want to let him do his thing. I think that's just the front page, and I'm sure it just gets better and better as you get deeper and deeper into it. I can only imagine it makes for some good reading. This came out a little bit ago, 5:56 p.m. to be exact. Apparently, Hamas has agreed to the peace terms that President Trump discussed with Israel and Israel agreed to. So it looks like, and it's Hamas, keep that in mind, it's Hamas. I won't trust them until it's actually done. But they're saying that they're agreeing to it and they're going to release all the hostages. Again, we will see. I'm not sold on that. Like I said, I'm not going to believe it until they say, hey, look, all the hostages are out. Look, we have photos. But that's working out. And if it works out, that's great. I mean, if he actually can pull this off, he does deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, I can't see why he wouldn't get that. I mean, he made peace there. That would be incredible. But again, sorry, I'm answering a question for somebody. But again, until it's done, I'm not going to believe it. Excuse me, something's in my throat. So hopefully this is the end of the Middle East war for now, because let's be realistic. At some point, some other new terrorist group's going to pop up and they're going to make a name for themselves and they're going to attack somebody. So it's just a matter of time before it happens again. But let's enjoy what we got right now. Once the hostages are released, Israel backs off. And then I guess the other steps in the peace accord, I think there's going to have an interim government to make sure Hamas stands down. And then they're going to work some things out. So hopefully this all comes to fruition. The hostages that are alive can go home. The ones that have died can be buried and their families can grieve them. Damn. Personally, if this were me, I would not have accepted the peace accord and I would have killed all of Hamas. I would have made sure they can't do anything ever again. Because I don't trust them. Like I said, until this is a done deal, I don't trust them. They're a terrorist organization. Why are we negotiating? I thought we don't do that. I thought we don't negotiate with terrorists. But now we are. So if that were me, I wouldn't have accepted this. I'd have been like, no, we're not going to lay off of them. If you release the hostages, maybe we won't be as violent with you. Maybe we'll give you a couple days to collect things. But we're not stopping until you're all dead. It's that simple. And again, that's why I'm not in charge. That's why I will never be in charge of a country. because that's what I would do. I don't think that we need to, we shouldn't be negotiating with terrorists. They should be told this is what's going to happen. You have X amount of time. You'll get nothing in return. Maybe we'll lay off for a little while, but if you don't release the hostages by at noon tomorrow, we are going to obliterate your country. Where it will not be pretty, and it won't stop. Even if you release the hostages after that point, it's not going to stop. This is your one and only chance. This is it. I would strongly advise you take it. But that's not how they wanted to handle it, and that's fine. Again, that's why I'm not in charge. So that was breaking and interesting news. So now we're going to get into the new stuff here. We're just going to talk about libs being libs. I mean, there's nothing new about what we're going to talk about, except that they've been saying, oh, no, we don't preach violence. We don't preach hate. We just want everybody to get along. That's not us. It's, them. Here you go. Let me find the notes on this guy because he's a real treat. Yep. The Attorney General candidate in Virginia, faces backlash over violent inflammatory text messages. I believe he, in a text message exchange with Republican delegate Kerry Conyer Jones, that's the gentleman who's running, used violent and inflammatory language, writing if that he were presented with a hypothetical situation in which he had only 2 bullets and was faced with the choice of shooting Gilbert, that's the person that he's running against, former Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, or former Cambodia dictator Pol Pot, he'd shoot Gilbert every time. So once again, liberals promoting violence. And I'm sick of hearing them say that they don't. I mean, every time you hear about violence or political violence or anything like that, it's always someone on the left. Always. Let me correct that. 9 times out of 10, it's somebody on the left. The vast majority of the time, it's a liberal, a Democrat liberal who just doesn't know how to deal with disappointment. So they hurt and kill and threaten people. Like the guy that shot Charlie Kirk. Didn't like what he was hearing, doesn't know how to deal with it. So rather than have an adult conversation like he was trying to do at every college campus he went to, he just said, I'll kill him because that's easier. That's what the liberals do. They're dangerous people. It's very dangerous. And I don't know what it's going to take for people to understand that, or how many times something has to happen before people realize that. How many more people have to die? How many more people need to be assaulted? How many more people need to have their property damaged before people realize, hey, liberals are crazy as shit and they're violent. We need to stay away from them and stop talking to them. It's really that simple. Here's another one. Harvard law professor arrested for shooting a pellet gun at a Jewish temple. What is wrong with these people? Why do they think that this is okay? Where in their life, or what in their life happened that made them think this is acceptable behavior? I mean, the dude's a law professor at Harvard. And whether you like Harvard or not, I don't particularly care for Harvard, but it's still a prestigious school. Still, it's probably slipping slowly. It'll soon be the most expensive community college in the world, but right now it's still a prestigious university. The guy teaches law there, and he's out there shooting BBs at a Jewish synagogue. Why? And the sad thing is, I don't know what Harvard will do, if anything, to him. I would be shocked if they did anything. I would be shocked if he lost his job. Utterly, I would be shocked. They let students keep Jewish students from going to class and really did nothing about it until the government stepped in and threatened them. And even then, it was kind of wishy-washy. So unless I'm assuming unless the government steps in on this guy, they're not going to do anything about him either. I mean, why would they? That's the hate they promote at that school. That's what they want. That's what they do. And people pay to go there. People pay to send their kids to that school. So morons like that jackass can teach them about hate and all sorts of useless things. More liberals. I don't know what else to tell you. Where we got here? I got notes for this one. This is ridiculous. 1 second. I will find it for us. It's not it. Not it. I have so many notes. I got to start writing these down like in order. That'd probably help. Here we go. There was an attack on ICE agents in Chicago, and the governor's refusing to help. The person was armed with a semi-automatic pistol or weapon, doxed agents and posted online, "Hey to all my gang, let's fuck those motherfuckers up. Don't let them take anyone." Chicago PD left the shooting scene and refused to help secure the area. Agents were rammed and boxed in by 10 cars, Department of Homeland Security says. One of the drivers had a semi-automatic rifle. Agents fired defensive shots at the person who was wounded and went to the hospital. Thankfully, no law enforcement officers were seriously injured in this attack. Liberals being liberal. I fully believe that liberalism is a mental illness. I don't think these people deal in the reality that we live in. I don't think they understand how the world works. I don't think they understand just everyday human interaction. I don't think they know how to deal with the word no. I don't think they know how to deal with being told what to do. So when they get these things they don't know how to deal with, whereas you or I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. Life goes on and you leave. They lash out and become violent, as evident by what I've just shown you. I mean, they're shooting at cops now who are just enforcing the law. ICE is not out there kicking down doors, taking families out in the middle of the night and never seeing them again. They're taking illegal immigrants, aliens, and sending them home. The family can go with them. What they're doing is completely legal. And every time you see one of these videos, you got one of these jackasses going, "Well, do you have a warrant for this?" They don't need a warrant. What? Social media is the downfall of society. These people watch social media for 10, 15 minutes. They see some other Google lawyers spewing, annotated code 7.56.2390, code 9 says, and they don't understand what it means. They've just memorized it so they can throw it in somebody's face to sound important, sound like they know what they're doing, but have no idea how that applies to the real world. These fools watch those other fools, and then when they get with the police, they're like, "Well, you can't do that. It's a violation of the law, code, blah, blah, blah." And when the cops laugh in their face because, no, that's not it at all, they get upset and become violent. Social media is partly to blame. I blame social media. I blame the media. Mostly I blame parents. I blame parents of these kids for never holding them accountable or teaching them about responsibility and respect or spanking that ass when they mess up. These are kids that got participation trophies for just showing up, not even trying, who went to high school, got a degree in underwater basket weaving, and then wondered why when they got out of school, they can't find the job making $500 million a year. And they blame everybody else in the world for it, rather than just assume the responsibility that, hey, I took a stupid degree. I'm going to be writing Hallmark greeting cards for the rest of my life. But no one's ever told them any of that. No one's taught them about life. So I blame parents more than anybody else. And I'm not saying all these people are a result of stupid parenting. I'm saying a lot of them are. And the ones that are the result of stupid parenting, those parents should be held accountable. It's that simple. I mean, these guys are just doing their job, and people are like running into them with cars now and shooting them with, semi-automatic rifles. And of course, when these guys return fire, they're wrong. They're the bad guys. They're just supposed to stand there and get shot at because somebody's feelings were hurt, that the law is being enforced. If we're not careful, we're going to end up where we're heading. And we need to stop that. There's too much at stake to let people like this run the world or even be in charge of anything. They are dangerous people. The left is dangerous. They are violent. And what makes them dangerous is they can justify anything they do in their head. You're a fascist. Thank you, Democratic politicians in the media. They're Nazis. They're transphobes. They're homophobes. They're going to destroy this country. They've had a seed put in their head by the media, social media, and Democrat politicians that if you don't think like them, you're a Nazi and you're going to destroy the country. If you're nuts to begin with and you start to think that's the truth, the next logical step is, well, I should kill them. I need to get rid of them. They're Nazis. They're not people. They're hurting people. I've got to kill the Nazis. They're going to destroy my country. I got to stop them. How should I stop them? I'll kill them. It's cause and effect. You keep spewing this bullshit about people on the right to people on the left, and the left starts to kill people. What did you think was going to happen? Most of the people on the left aren't rational anyway. They're not sane people. Have you seen them? They think men can be women and women can be men and men can get pregnant. They think that your baby can self-identify, a newborn baby. They think your baby can be gay. They think your baby can... These people are sick. They're sick and they're dangerous. We need to stop pretending like we can communicate with them, that there's some common ground or we can compromise. They don't want compromise. They are sick, frightening, violent individuals. And the only thing I can think of doing is to stop letting them push us around, push back, bully the bully, not calling for violence. So don't say, well, Seth said go out and do. No, Seth didn't say that. Seth said stand your ground. Stop letting them push you around. They yell at you, you yell right back at them. They get in your face, you get right back in their face. Because at the end of the day, they're cowards. That's why they wear masks and they move in groups and they do things at night, because they're cowards. If you get in their face, 9 times out of 10, they're going to wet their pants, put their thumb in their mouth, and go run home to mommy. They're not going to do anything. And we need to keep that in mind and deal with these people, treat them like children, because that's what they are. They are children, spoiled children who've never had their ass spanked and never been told no. But unfortunately, these children have access to weapons and they will use them and kill people. It's not, I'm not making this up. We know it. More liberals in New York City shut down the road for Palestine. When is enough going to be enough, America? When are we going to wake up and go, look, we're done. We are done. Hopefully the war in the Middle East is over. So what are you protesting? What exactly are you protesting now? What are you upset about? It's hard to talk about this because I don't have the IQ of a 6-year-old, so I can't relate to them. I don't know what they're thinking or what they're hoping to accomplish. And you can't talk to them, like I said, because they'll just scream and yell at you. I can only assume they're upset because Hamas didn't wipe out Israel. I don't know. I'm guessing. But they're shutting down traffic in New York, 42nd and 2nd. I don't know if you're familiar with New York, but it's a pretty busy intersection. And they're allowed to do it. The police watch them do this. And I understand New York City is pretty much a dump anyway. And if the socialist mayor gets elected, it's going to be a lost cause. But right now it's not. And I don't understand how a police officer could just stand there and see this and go, well, we're not going to do anything about it. Let them march and shut down traffic and, death to the USA or whatever the new slogan they're chanting is today now. And just let them do it. We have to get to that point sooner rather than later that we won't take this anymore, that we are not going to allow them to do this anymore. Because if it continues on too much longer, it's going to get past the point of no return, and we're not going to be able to do anything about it. And then we're all going to look back and go, Seth told us that we should have done something better. We should have listened to him back then. And I'm just being funny about me. I'm not the only person saying something. There's lots of people out there saying stuff. We need to start listening to them and do something. Not calling for violence, but you don't have to be violent. Don't have to be violent. Be assertive and stand up. Make sure they hear you. Be just as loud as they are. We can't keep letting them push us around because it's going past pushing. Like I said, now they're shooting people. They are killing us because no one has stood up to them yet. And again, stop saying Trump is going to do this. Trump's one person. One person. And there's enough trash in D.C. he's got to fight. He can't do everything. So stop playing everything at his feet and then being upset when he can't fix things. The man has got his plate full, and we're not helping him at all. We need to be out there just as vocal as these morons are and let them know that we're done. You're not going to block traffic anymore. You're not going to assault people because they don't believe what you believe. We're not going to have, where is it? We're not doing this crap anymore. Stop it. We're not filling out your stupid little questionnaires. Don't give a shit. Not doing it. My newborn was identified as a poop machine. He poops and eats. That's what he identifies as right now. All of this, don't know, don't care. We'll worry about that when he's 18 or 19. But right now, he's a poop factory. Is that on here? Can I check poop factory? And that's the scary thing is a doctor probably came up with that form. Oh, I'm sorry, a doctor. I mean, if I identify as a doctor, can I start treating people then? Well, a lot of people on Facebook identify as lawyers because they all know the goddamn law. And they will quote it to you left and right. I mean, I wish my memory was that good where I could read something and just throw it back in your face and pretend like I understood it. But yeah, please just counter protest. I mean, it sounds dumb, but it will work. Like the group I'm a vice president of, the Frederick County Conservative Club, we're having a celebration of life for Charlie Kirk on his birthday. I think it's the 14th, October 14th, or something about the 14th is important. We're having a big thing for it. The sad thing is Republicans won't come out for it. Oh, it's a Tuesday night. I got to work. Suck it up, Buttercup. Put on your big boy pants and come out. Spend time with other patriots. Spend time with other conservatives and Republicans. Be a part of something rather than sit on your ass and complain about everything. Go out and do something. That's another. Republicans are lazy. And if that offends somebody, that offends you. I don't care. So October 14th, you live in Frederick, Maryland, or near Frederick, Maryland, or in Western Maryland, or Pennsylvania, or West Virginia, close here, show up to Baker Park. If you go to fccc.us, you can find information about it. Show up. And if you don't show up, you cannot complain anymore about anything. I'm not giving anybody passes anymore. And it's free. There's no charge. It'll be a nice day. Hang out in the park with people. Make some friends. Heck, maybe you'll meet a date. I don't know. But stop sitting on your ass and waiting for somebody else to do something. Be a part of something. Join a local Republican club. Make sure they actually do something. Like the clubs in my area don't do shit. I would never join a Republican club in Frederick, Maryland. Never. Well, the Republicans Club of Frederick, I would join. They're active. So I take that back. I would join them. I would join the Frederick County Conservative Club. Beyond that, I'd have nothing to do with any Republican organization in Frederick County or Frederick, Maryland, because they are useless as tits on a board hog. Literally, they take money, have happy hours and parties, and that's it. They haven't got anybody elected. They're not even working on the next coming election in this county. They haven't brought anybody up. So be very careful before you join an organization. Make sure they do things. And if you find yourself in a club like in Frederick, one of the Republican clubs in Frederick, Maryland, and you find yourself at a happy hour every other month or at some fancy party with some headline speaker for tickets at $200 a person, but they haven't won an election in years, you might want to reevaluate the club you're a member of and stop giving them your goddamn money. That's all they are, money machines. They just want money. What they do with it, I don't know, because they haven't won an election. So I don't know what they're doing with the money. Nor do I care because they don't get my money. I cut them off years ago. Useless. The only club in Frederick County, Maryland, if you're in the area that I would even consider being a member of is the Republican County or Frederick County Republican Woman Club and the Frederick County Conservative Club. I think the Women's Republican Club in Frederick is one of the oldest women clubs in America. I think it's like over 100 years old or something like that. I know it's very historic. I know the president, her name is Cindy Rose, great lady. But yeah, there's only 2 clubs in Frederick I would ever consider running for or being involved in. That's it. And you should look into the clubs in your area as well. Be involved. If you like what they do and they're actually active, by all means, join them. But again, like I said, if you find yourself going to happy hours all the time and nothing's happening except your wallet's getting thinner and the buffet's getting bigger, you probably want to find another club to join because they're just taking your money and using it for stupid shit.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
So, yep, you got Damon the Hammer Galdo, who does his show. He'll do his tomorrow. And again, you kind of got a little preview of what he's going to talk about, that crazy questionnaire from that hospital in New Jersey. And Alexandra Levine, she has her show 2 times a week. She's also the White House correspondent. Great shows. I mean, you really should be watching them. They're awesome. And you have me every Sunday at 7 to 8:30. And then Wednesdays we do the Pulse, where everybody gets together. We talk about all sorts of different things. And we usually have a couple guest speakers or hosts, whatever you want to call them. Elena Barbera, she's great, smart woman, funny. And then the third or the other one is usually a mystery person. I don't even know till the day of, so I couldn't tell you who it would be. But yeah, and we have another potential couple podcasters to get their own show soon. So we're starting to fill up. It'll be pretty cool once all this starts rolling without hiccups. It'll be fun. And then, of course, we have the man behind the scenes, Damon Sherrod, who runs everything from the captain's chair to make sure everything runs smooth and there are no hiccups. And there usually are, especially if it's my show, because things happen. Like the beginning of the show, couldn't get anything to run. He had to do it. So it's a good thing he was here, because who knows what would happen if he wasn't. Anyway, also we have the chat thing. If you have a question you want to ask me, post it in there. I'll answer it if I can. If I can't, don't take it personally. I might have just not been paying attention. So if you have a question, you want to say something, post it in the chat. That's always fun. But yeah. So this segment, we're going to talk about the idiots, the flotilla of fools that tried to get into a war zone, and all the crap that's going on with that now. There you go. No, we're not terrorist sympathizers. We're just flying a flag of a country that doesn't exist to bring food to people that won't get it and that the terrorist organization will take and use for themselves. The term useful idiots has never been more perfectly applied than it is to these folks. These people are idiots. They are. I don't care who they are or the movie stars that went with them, or I don't care. Nelson Mandela's grandson or somebody that is related to him is there. I don't care. They're idiots. They're jackasses, and they don't. All they're trying to do is look like they care. Virtual signaling by bringing food to Hamas. I didn't see any of these people going into Israel on October 7th or even the 8th to try to comfort those that have been raped, or seen people murdered, or had their family kidnapped. And never saw or heard a peep from any of these people. But now they're concerned. Well, I wonder what they're going to do if Hamas really does go through with the peace thing. What are they going to complain about now? I mean, I wonder what they're going to do. Can you imagine how meaningless their life is going to be the second this war ends? What are they going to bitch about then? That's right, Damon. How dare I? Greta said. She looks like she's about 2 chromosomes shy of being like a gorilla. She doesn't look, and I understand. I think she's got autism or something like that. And I shouldn't pick on her. I know I shouldn't. But she's just, if I shouldn't pick on her, I'm going to pick on her family, because they're allowing her to be used. I mean, I can't imagine as a parent if my child came and say, "Look, Dad, I support a terrorist organization, and I want to take a ship." I think it was like a month. It took them a month to get there. Yeah, about a month to get down there. We're going to sail down to Israel. It's a war zone. We're going to try to break through the Israeli Navy's blockade and deliver food to the people of Palestine, which is located right next to Neverland and just below Middle Earth. We're going to try to bring them some food so they can get fed, knowing full well that they're not going to get the food, Dad. It's going to go to the terrorist organization because they're going to steal it from them. But still, it'll make us look like we really care, that we're superior to everybody else. So I'd like to go. Sure, honey, go. What parent would be okay with that? I don't. Stupidity should be painful. I think if you're stupid, it should hurt. That way, everybody knows that you're stupid because you walk around in pain all the time. Makes it easy to point you out. But yeah, they of course they try to get through the blockade. I'm sure you heard, and they couldn't. The Israel Navy's not playing around, and of course, I think it was what Italy said they sent a cruiser with them to protect them. I think as soon as they got an eyesight of the blockade, they turned off. Said, "Hey, we're done. We advise you to turn around too. We're not staying out because they're not going to start a war over these idiots. It's not worth it because everybody in their heart, deep down inside, knows that Israel's not killing people in Gaza on purpose. It's not a genocide. They're not starving them out because if everybody truly believed that, their military would be down there trying to stop it, not getting a little closer and then backing away. It's because they know they don't. They don't believe half of what these people tell them. That's how I know it's not true. And another thing, if it were so true, the neighboring Muslim countries to Gaza would be allowing these refugees into their country. They don't allow them in. They don't want them there. They don't want their own people in their country. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That it's all bullshit. That they're just trying to make Israel look bad. And what they're saying is not true because if it were, none of that would be going on. There'd be, get in our country. We're sending the military there. They'd be cracking. Even if it wasn't the U.S., it'd be other countries that, run their mouth. We're not going to do business with you anymore. Ooh. And I guarantee you that's going to end. They'll start doing business again once a peace talks start to kick off and things start to happen. They'll go back to business with them because everybody knows it's bullshit. There's no one trying to wipe out the entire Gazan people because if that were the case, if that's what Israel's ultimate goal was, to get rid of everybody in Gaza, let's be honest, this would have been done in about a month. They'd have got it all done in a month. They've been very selective in who they're going after. They're doing what they can to minimize damage. So they're not doing it on purpose. And the world knows it. And you can talk to me till you're blue in the face and tell me, no, they don't. Yes, they do, or this would not have been going on. Now, I've read it in a couple of different articles, and I think one of them was the Jerusalem Times or something like that. I think Fox News is covering it, and another news outlet is covering it as well. That when Israel boarded the ships to take inventory, they found no aid for the Palestinians on the ships. And I believe that. The ships were not that big, or boats, I'm sorry. Those boats were not that big. They had to have, on their boats, they had to have supplies for themselves. They had to have fuel. They had to have food, clothing, all sorts of things for themselves. And then on top of that, they want you to believe that they had room for, aid. Israel has found no aid on the ships. Now, I think what they're saying is they found aid, but nothing that would amount to any type of help. Like, I think they found like a bag of chips and a couple of blow pops. I think that, I don't think they mean literally there's no aid. I think what they're saying is what they brought would have amounted to nothing. And you know what the first red flag about that was for me? When Israel had them blocked off and telling them, hey, you got to stop, they offered for them to go to, I think it was another port outside of the blockade, and that they could have all their aid transported to Gaza rather than do what they were going to do. And they said no. Well, this is why they said no. Because they got to shore and they threw out a pallet full of potato chips and some yoo-hoos and said, "There's our aid," everybody would have known that they were lying. Everybody would have known exactly what was going on at that point, and they would have lost all credibility worldwide. Worldwide. But yeah, they said when they were doing inventory of the ships or boats, they didn't find enough aid to amount to anything. And of course, now they're saying that's not true. Our boats were full of aid for Palestine. They stole it. Why would they steal it? And why would they care if you were bringing aid? They wouldn't have cared. They offered to transport it for you. But now they're lying. They're covering up that you had aid because they've got nothing better to do except deal with this numbskull and her fanatic followers. That's what they want to do. They want to keep this going. They want to keep having to deal with Greta and her knuckle dragging, mouth breeding inbred parents. Probably that's what they want to deal with. That's what they get. The war's not enough. They want to invite some more drama into their lives. Come on. I believe that they didn't bring any aid, or I believe they brought aid, but not enough to amount to anything that wouldn't have helped anybody. I believe that. I don't think that they brought tons and tons of humanitarian aid. On what ship? On what boat was that on? Tell us, Greta. What boat was all this aid on? Because all the pictures I've seen, maybe like an 80-footer, maybe. But on that 80-footer, was like 15 people on board. So there's all the supplies. I believe Israel. I don't think they want to invite unnecessary drama. Now, on top of that, there are people. I think it's some Turkish newspaper, which leads to credibility, and some other newspapers like from Muslim countries. They're saying Greta was horribly, horribly tortured and beaten along with other people for flotilla and forced to kiss the Israeli flag and all sorts of horrible things. And I think one guy said whatever the Nazis did, Israel did to the people of the flotilla. I don't know. I mean, I barely caught it. I don't know if you saw the video of Greta in Paris when she got off the plane from being sent out of Israel. Not a scratch on her body. Was by herself and interviewed, and not once did she talk about being horribly tortured by the Israelis, beaten and forced to kiss Israeli flags. And trust me, that attention whore that'd have been the first thing out of her mouth had that had happened. There's other people who've been interviewed since then, and not one of them have said this. So you have some third world newspapers in countries that have dictators that don't like Israel, saying Israel did all sorts of evil things. But the people who were there, they're saying were involved, aren't saying it. Do you really think do you believe it? I don't believe it. Not one bit. But people don't like Israel. They don't like Jews, so they're going to make whatever they can make up about them to make them look bad, even if it's flat out false. I mean, Greta Thunberg herself has never said that in any interview since she's been released. I think she complained about bed bugs. Well, honey, you're in a prison. You're not staying at the Ritz-Carlton, so it's going to be dirty. Maybe obviously it's not too dirty because you've done this a second time. Maybe you'll think about it now and not do it a third time because you'll be in a cell with bed bugs. Israel should have confiscated all those boats, and sunk them, scuttled them all. Hit them in the wallet. That's how you get people's attention nowadays, unfortunately. You can't reason with them with facts. You can't try to, compromise with them. You need to hit them in the wallet. And if you sunk all those ships or in that flotilla that you captured, how would they do it again? Who's going to sponsor something if there's a chance the money they're giving you is going to be lost at the bottom of the sea? I wouldn't. So that's what I think they should have done. They should have scuttled every one of those boats, been done with it. But no, I think they kept them, brought all the fools into prison. I think they processed them, fed them, clothed them, and then paid for their airfare back to their country of origin. What lesson did they learn? Should have kicked their ass is what they should have done. You're trying to, or better yet, let them in. Let them into a war zone. See how long that lasts. I mean, I think at one point there were people who were on the flotilla that left because there were other people with the pride flag up and gay and transsexual flags, and these people were from a Muslim country, wanted nothing to do with that. So let them into Gaza, holding hands, wearing their assless chaps, or dressed like some horrible creature that I'm a woman. Let them in. I say let them in. Have them sign a waiver. Hey, we're not going to hold Israel responsible for anything that happens to you. We're going to let you to the country. You're on your own. We're not going to come get you. We're not going to save you. You're going to a war zone. As long as you acknowledge that, post. And then let them go. Let the cross-dressers go in there. Let the transsexuals go in there. Let the gay couples go into Gaza. I mean, it's horrible what they're going to do to them. It breaks my heart. But sometimes people have to learn the hard way. Maybe if they see how they really feel about them once they get there, maybe they'll stop being so quick to want to defend them and forget about all the horrible things they've done to everybody and just say, you know what? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Greta. I'm not getting on a boat with you again to go down there. I saw what they did to that gay guy. I want no parts of that. That's what they did is horrible. But people don't do that. They don't deal in reality. Sorry. The left doesn't deal in reality. They deal in what they think reality should be. The way they want it to be is how reality is for them. That's how they do all these stupid things because that's their reality. Nobody else is around them, but you're crazy if you don't agree with what they say. It's your fault. So, they're blaming Israel now, saying they were tortured, or these newspapers saying they tortured and beat these kids, and people are actually believing it. And I don't know why. I mean, it's flat out lies. Just look at the video of her getting back to France. Doesn't look tortured to me. Looks happy. Well, not happy, but she looked glad to be home. And why aren't these people so concerned about what's happening in Africa? What, Nigeria? They killed like 7,000 Christians? Not a peep from any of these people. They're not sailing their ships down there. You know why? Because down there, they'll just kill them. They won't tell you to turn around. Those countries will kill you. Quick as hell. Not think twice about it, not care what the rest of the world thinks. They will put bullets to heads and be done with it. That's why they're not going down there, because they don't want to die for their cause. They just want to be in newspapers and get interviewed and be on the TV for their cause. That's just what they're willing to sacrifice. But I think I talked about that on Alexander's show when I filled in for her down in Nigeria. I think 7,000 Christians have been killed since January 1st of this year. It's horrible, but not a word about that. Not a word. That's because the Muslims are the ones down there doing the killing, so that's okay. Again, the left loves violence. They love murder. They love all that stuff. So if you're committing it and they like you, that just makes them like you even more. I'm telling you, it's getting crazy. What we're allowing to happen in this world is getting crazy.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
Alexandra Levine, she is the White House correspondent. You can see she's been down there a couple times, covered some things, met some people. I mean, it's got to be pretty cool. I mean, I live an hour from D.C. Well, if there's traffic, I live like 7 days if there's traffic. But on a good day, I can be down there in an hour. It's a pretty cool place if you've never been. I mean, it's a city, so it's not very clean, but it's a cool place. She gets to do all the cool stuff. And I'm not knocking. That's cool. I mean, that's what she likes to do. That's her thing, and that's great. So we'll get more with her. You'll see her again twice this week. She has her own podcast here. And they're pretty good, like I said. So yeah, back to Greta Thunberg, because that's just ridiculous. I just don't understand why anybody. Well, I know why people believe that she's been tortured because they're idiots. I mean, if you're dumb enough to sail that way, go all the way down, after being told we're going to turn you back, you're not going to be able to get in, and you've been told, and you go anyway, you're not too bright to begin with. So yeah, I can kind of understand why people would believe that, because there's a lot of stupid people out there. So yeah, I guarantee you there'll be another one. They're going to put together another flotilla and try to get down there. Maybe not, because if everyone agrees to the peace agreement and everything, everybody starts to do what they're supposed to do, I don't know if they're going to keep a blockade up anymore. They might be like, you know what, we don't care, we're good, we're out of here. And then, like I said again, they're not going to get any notice for that. They're not going to get, ooh, you're important, you're such good people. So if there's still a blockade, yes, they'll do it again. If there's no blockade, they won't do it again. And then, like I said, what are they going to do? What's their next cause? What are they going to cry and whine about next? I'm trying to think what it could be. Had to be something stupid. Maybe they'll be upset over the drug dealers getting killed coming out of Venezuela. That's probably what they're going to do. They're going to defend the drug runners because they're good people. They're just trying to feed their families. Good, honest, hardworking people. You know what? I want to go on record. They're going to start doing that if this Hamas thing falls through. If Hamas steps down and they're no more, that'll be their next cause. The plight of the drug runner in Venezuela. I'm going to go on record with that. I really think that. We'll find out soon enough, I'm sure. Another judge blocks deployment of National Guards in Portland, Oregon, because who wants law and order? Who wants the country to be safe? I mean, that's just crazy talk. That's just crazy. And I want to get this perfectly clear. National Guard, not military. National Guard is the National Guard. Military would be the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, Space Force. Those would be considered branches of the military. National Guard is not a branch of the military. So all you morons out there screaming and crying that the military is being unleashed on the American population, no, they're not. It's the National Guard, and this has happened before. They've been used to quell violence and things like that. It happened in Baltimore. Freddie Gray riots. So this is not a first time. This is not a precedent-setting thing. It's done before. So just shut up. Stop saying, well, he's going to just... It's not the military, moron. I don't see Marines running around smoking people. Navy's not shelling them. The Air Force isn't bombing them. Army's not doing their Army thing. And who knows what the Air Force does? I don't know. Hit golf balls at them. I don't know. But it's not the military. It's the National Guard. And they're there to augment the law enforcement that's already there. So stop. And they need to be there. I mean, have you seen the crap that's going on there? Like, look at this. They're attacking police. What? My question would be to these people that say, no, we don't need the National Guard. What exactly do you think it would take to send the National Guard if you were in charge? What would it be? What would it take? What line would you have that would say, okay, now I'm going to send the National Guard? And they're attacking police officers. They're attacking and burning federal buildings. They've occupied part of the city. They're murdering people. I mean, when they had the little occupation zone, people were murdered and raped. So at what point I would like to ask, would you send the National Guard in? What would it take? What would be your breaking point? If none of this is your breaking point, what are you waiting for? I mean, really, they've murdered people. There's been rapes. They're destroying public property. They're, taking over federal buildings. They're attacking police officers and federal law enforcement who are just enforcing the law. And you still think it's unnecessary. So what would make it necessary? What would they have to do to make the left think, oh, it's necessary to send these people in? We've got to send them in. That's what you should ask these morons to say we don't need them there. Well, then when would we need them? Tell me, at what point would you send them in? What are you looking for? And then explain to them, there's been murders, there's been rapes, occupation of federal buildings, assaulting police officers, assaulting federal police officers. The list goes on. If none of that makes it necessary in your mind to send the National Guard in, what are you waiting for to happen before you would? And I guarantee you, they're going to call you a transphobe. They're going to scream and yell at you, call you a racist, and probably take a swing at you. But they're not going to answer the question because the answer is right there. They're doing all that. The guard needs to go in. The police are overwhelmed. Look, they're overwhelmed. We're not talking about jaywalkers. We're not talking about graffiti artists or people speeding. We're talking about people who are assaulting police officers and occupying federal buildings because they don't like the laws being enforced. It's exactly what the National Guard is there for. That is their purpose. That and natural disasters to help people get through them. That is what they're there for. And if you don't think so, there's the chat. Tell me what you would wait for, what you're looking for before you would authorize the National Guard. And I thought that the Supreme Court's already ruled that judges can't override the president's authority. Because for a while, every time he said something, some judge in like Spitwater, Iowa, would come out with a ruling and says, "No, president can't do that. I said so." So I thought that the Supreme Court said, "Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Judges can't override the president's authority. Stop. It's a waste of time." And they keep doing it. So, and then what Gavin douchebag said he's going to sue because apparently Trump is moving his National Guard up and he's going to sue them or sue Trump. Why? Well, I know why, because it's not his money. He's using taxpayer money, so he doesn't care. And he thinks he's getting brownie points. You think that's going to win him the election for president. I tell you right now, Gavin, if you're watching, I got a better chance of getting elected president than you do. Truly, I do. Because I haven't let my cities and my state burn. I haven't let my state be overrun by foreign nationals. I don't have riots in the street. I have a better chance of winning than you do. And that's pretty sad. When you think about it, that's pretty sad. But yeah, he's going to sue him. Everybody's upset that Trump is trying to enforce laws on the books. He hasn't made any new laws up. They're not writing them on the fly. These are established laws that he's enforcing that the prior regime didn't. Biden didn't care. He was too addled. His brain was mush. He didn't care. He couldn't concentrate long enough to put a coherent sentence together, let alone go, "Hey, we need to enforce these laws. Things are getting out of hand on the West Coast. We need to do something." Now, he was more worried about ice cream and his leg hair and trying to remember where he parked his car or whatever, or falling off his bike, tripping upstairs, whatever. He didn't care. And I don't want you to correct that. I don't think it's he didn't care. He just didn't know. I don't think he knew what was going on. I honestly don't. I think they kept him in the dark, which is kind of sad. But that's how the left operates. Liars and violent people. So yeah, you got that going on the West Coast. Out here on the East Coast, you got morons wanting to sue the president for every little thing that happens. You got Republican Party on the West Coast, or at least in Maryland, that's impotent. Truly impotent. Marjorie Taylor Greene is apparently gone off the reservation now, is anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, just everything everything is Israel. Didn't she once say Israel had like laser beams that could start fires or something? Laser beams. What movie was that? What movie was that? Laser beams. Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. Sharks with laser beams. Yeah, I could have sworn a couple of years ago she said something about Israel had technology with lasers from satellites that could start fires or some crazy shit like that. And everybody loved her. She was, the next coming in the Republican Party. Now she's gone the way of the dodo bird, and everything's a conspiracy theory with her now. Everything. And you got the talking heads. I don't even want to say their name because they're beneath me. That Israel's to blame for everything in the world. If your dog got hit by a car, it's Israel. Mossad is behind it somehow. Watch out. You got a speeding ticket? Israel. Israel did that. Fail a test at school? The Jews. The Jews did it. You're screwed. Don't get that promotion at work? You got it. It's the Jews in Israel conspiring against you. Everything is the Jews' fault, according to some of these people. And they can't articulate how it is. I think I even read somewhere one of these talking heads was talking about how Charlie Kirk's wife was somehow involved with his assassination. And I'm not going to say who, because that person doesn't deserve the respect of having their name mentioned, but I read that somewhere. And I'm sure if you look on online somewhere, you can find that too. But that's what one of them said. And I can't think of anything more disgusting to say than that. This country's lost its mind. Not over time, like all at one time. It's like we crapped the bed. Now we're rolling around in it, wondering why we're sticky and stinky. We don't know why. I'll tell you why, because we allow these people to do and say what they want to say. We allow these people to riot and attack police officers, destroy public property because laws are being enforced. We allow these judges to make policy from the bench rather than enforce law. We allow this shit to go on around the world, people defending and trying to protect a terrorist organization, and we say nothing about it. What else we got here? We allow people, rather than to have constructive criticism or constructive dialogue with other people, to do what they want to do because they're butthurt. So they make sure everybody else is just as miserable as them, and we don't say anything. We don't hold these people accountable. We allow them to cry and whine and do what they want to do. We make people like this important. We make people like this, we put them on a pedestal like they're smarter than us, like they know more than us. They're not, they're entertainers. They're here to make you laugh or cry or sing or dance, and that is it. If you base your political leanings or your political decisions off of idiots like this, you're part of the problem. If you're worried about a war that has no effect on us at all, why? Why do we allow billions of our dollars to go over there? Why are we allowing it? We are in charge. And we need to remember that. We need to get back to that. But we're the people that make the decisions. They just carry them out for us in D.C. They work for us. We pay their paychecks. And then there was that guy that went to the UN. I can't remember his name. He used to be the leader of, I think, Hamas, that has beheaded people, Christians and Jews. And now he's allowed to speak at the UN. We need to get out of the UN. We need to run from that like the plague. We need to avoid any contact, kick them out of the U.S., let them go to some other shithole country, spew their anti-American propaganda and pro-terrorism. Get them out of this country. They've outlived their usefulness. There's no need for them anymore because they don't work to better anybody. They play favorites. And if you're a favorite, you'll be good. If you're not, you're going to get screwed. So get rid of them. We don't need them. Don't need them anymore. There's a lot of agencies like that need to go that perpetuate crap in this country. Like we shouldn't be a member of the World Health Organization. What do they do for us? We need to start remembering America is the greatest country, not perfect. Never said perfect. We are the greatest country on the face of the planet. And how do I know this? People are killing themselves to get here. They're crossing deserts, crossing oceans to get into this country. And then when they get here, they fight to stay. It doesn't sound like it's a country that's crappy. It sounds like a country everybody wants to belong to. And we got to remember that. We need to start acting like that. We don't need them. And by that, now I mean the UN and all these other organizations. We don't need them. They need us far more than we need them. And if we don't need them, they're not useful to our country, our citizens, be done with them. Expel them from our country. Let everybody else bitch and complain. Oh, America sucks. I did the UN out. What are you going to do about it? Then stop trading with us. That's fine. We won't trade with you anymore because we respect the fact that you think we're being mean. So we won't trade with you anymore. We'll respect it. People wouldn't let that happen. And I'm not saying be a bully about it. Just be, hey, get out of the country. We don't think you stand for what we believe in anymore. Matter of fact, you don't stand for what most countries believe anymore. You're more concerned about terrorists and making sure they're taken care of and treated well. Not their victims, but the terrorists. So yeah, we need to start remembering that we're in charge. This is our country, America. And we don't need the United Nations here telling us what to do. We don't need third world countries like Turkey or these other places telling us what we need to do. And we don't need to tell them what to do. We just need to leave them the hell alone. Cut them off. Be done with them. Like when all this was over, I would never have anything to do with Gaza or Palestine. Nothing. You're a bunch of desert rats that rape and murder people for no reason other than they don't worship the same God you do. And the minute the people you attack fight back, you want us to treat you like the victim. We are done. Don't call me again. Don't trade with them. Don't do anything with them. Don't render aid, but don't hurt them. They don't exist. That's what we need to start doing in some of these countries. Just cut them off completely. Wish them the best. I get good luck. Hope it all works out for you. But we want nothing to do with it anymore. Goodbye. And be done with them. I think we would be better off if we did that with a lot of these countries that come begging for money. Don't give them money. No. Turkey, you need money? Tough shit. I'm not giving you a dime. You're not our problem. You're not our responsibility. Goodbye. Gaza needs money. What? No. Goodbye. I'm not giving you a dime. Any of those Middle Eastern countries, we need help. No. You chant death to America every 30 seconds. You got some balls on you coming over here and asking us for help. We're not helping you. Goodbye. We need to stop trying to be the good guy. It's like we're in a relationship and we're their battered wife. And we don't want to press charges on our husband because he really loves us. We messed up. We'll take care of it. We'll make everything all right. We need to stop that. Cut these people off. Be done with them. But we won't. We won't do that. We'll allow the talking heads on social media and the weirdo crazies in D.C. and the United Nations to stay here and keep pushing their BS on us. Because that's how we are. We're forgiving. We are too forgiving, I think. But that's what it is. It's sad. It's sad what we think we have to do for other countries. I don't know of any other country in the world that collects taxes from its citizens to send it to us. If there's a country that does that, please let me know. But I can't think of one. I can't think of one. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything that's going on this week that caught my eye. And like I said, the thing about the hospital, Damon the Hammer, we'll talk about that more and get in depth with that on his show tomorrow. So make sure you watch that one. Like I said, I think there's multiple pages to that forum, and he has them all. And if that doesn't upset you, what I showed you, then you definitely need to watch his show and see what else is there, because that will upset you. And it should. What does your baby identify as? That is the most asinine question I've ever seen in my entire life. Well, no, there's another question. What's your gender? Male, female, mixed, fluid, don't have one. That's another stupid question. And these are from people who are supposedly intelligent, learned people with more degrees than I have fingers, from colleges across the nation, universities. And these are the questions they want to ask a newborn. What do you identify as? Are you a trans baby? Things have got to change, and they've got to change soon. Sooner rather than later, people, I'm telling you. It's really that bad. It's really getting that bad. It's not that bad yet. I definitely think we have time to turn this tide, to make a positive change in this country, to make sure things go the way we need them to go, rather than the way the left wants them to go. We still got time. All right, well, it's almost that time for me to get out of here. So Usually this time of the show, I read an opinion that sometimes has something to do with the show, sometimes doesn't. This one kind of sort of does. So I'll read it. And once again, you don't have to agree with it. You can tell me to kick rocks, pound sand, shut up, do what you got to do. Just my opinion. In the sweltering summer of 2025, as the Trump administration ramped up immigration enforcement of laws, with a series of high-profile ICE raids, the streets of LA, Chicago, New York, and beyond erupted into what organizers dubbed anti-ICE protests. What began as a targeted demonstration against mass deportation sparked executive orders revoking protections, initiating protections for sensitive locations like churches and schools. Quickly morphed into a sprawling coast-to-coast spectacle of chants, fires, clashes, and assaults. By June, hundreds gathered at the Texas Capitol. Roads were blocked. Marines had to patrol federal buildings in LA, and a curfew was clamped down on the epicenter of unrest. Fast forward to October, and the embers still flicker. National Guard deployments in Chicago amid live stream standoffs, viral videos of armed clashes, and endless threads speculating on shadowy figures like George Soros and what his connection to all this is. And there's a connection, believe me. On the surface, it's a righteous uprising against a militarized border patrol decried by the UN and human rights officials as excessive. Dig deeper, and these protests reveal themselves as a toxic brew of elite, virtue-signaling economic delusion and selective outrage. A movement that harms the very communities it claims to protect while eroding the rule of law it pretends to champion. Let's start with the optics. The Abolish ICE slogan, resurrected from 2018's family separation backlash by Obama, by the way, sounds punchy on a placard. No human is illegal, as chanted at Santa Monica's College March's Freedom March. But what does it mean in practice? ICE enforces federal immigration law, a function of sovereignty every nation state maintains, from Canada to Colombia. Protesters decry raids on meatpacking plants in Omaha or restaurants in LA as attacks on workers. Yet they ignore the flip side. Unchecked illegal immigration depresses wages for low-skilled American laborers, many of them Black and Latino citizens already reeling from post-pandemic inflation. In 2024, a study by the Center for Immigration Studies showed that the sectors like construction and agriculture, native-born workers face 5 to 10% wage suppression due to unauthorized labor competition, illegal immigrants. By shielding violators, these profits don't uplift immigrants. They entrench a shadow economy that exploits everyone. Undocumented workers paid under the table, citizens sidelined for cheaper hires, and taxpayers footing the bill for uncompensated public services estimated at $150 billion a year. Billion with the B. The violence, too, undercuts any moral high ground. What starts as a largely peaceful gathering, hundreds in Foley Square on February 13th, or May Day rallies drawing thousands in Chicago, escalated into something uglier. In LA, clashes led to over a dozen arrests in Austin alone, with LAPD reports documenting force against demonstrators, including a July incident in San Francisco where ICE vehicle injured a protester. By October, Chicago streams show protesters hurling objects at police officers, an armed woman shot in the fray, and National Guard convoys rolling in to restore order, echoing the insurrection rhetoric once reserved only for January 6th. Organizers like those in the Hands Off Coalition, over 1,400 events across 50 states in April, framed this resistance as a hostile takeover by Trump and Elon Musk. Yet the same voices were moot during the Biden-era border surges that saw 2.5 million encounters in 2023 alone, or when sanctuary cities like Chicago funneled resources to migrants over homeless veterans. This isn't consistency, it's opportunism. And as one ex-user quipped amid Portland's October flare-up, This is nothing compared to the BLM riots. And we didn't even send the military in for those. The hypocrisy stings. Protesters that block NBA finals crowds in Annapolis or overpasses in St. Louis disrupt everyday Americans, not just the system. And we should be crushing them too. I should have put that in there. Worse still is the astonishing astroturfing stench. Whispers on X and viral YouTube expose point to billionaire puppeteers funding the chaos. Follow the money. Who is funding this ICE protest? Figures like George Soros linked to NGOs and progressive PACs that bankrolled similar efforts in 2018. Groups like the Party for Socialism and Liberation or Indivisible Charlottesville bus in crowds for no king rallies, blending anti-ICE fever with anti-Trump pageantry. If these protesters achieve anything lasting, it's a stark reminder true justice isn't screamed from bullhorns or funded by offshore checks. It's built on secure borders, fair enforcement, and policies that reward legal aspiration over illegal expediency. Until activists reckon that their own resistance remains just another echo in the canyon, loud, fleeting, and utterly useless. So that's my opinion. Again, you don't have to agree with it. I don't expect you to. Well, it's that magic time, so I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. Again, this is the Conservative Corner. I'm Seth Eisenberg here every Sunday at 7 till 8:30. I'll be on the Pulse on Wednesday at 8. And you may see me covering for another show here and there. I don't know. But yeah, remember Damon Galdo shows tomorrow. He'll be talking about that form. And let me show you one more time so you remember what I'm talking about. He'll be talking about it more in depth on his show tomorrow. The questionnaire for your newborn baby. Are they gay? Are they trans? How do they identify? He'll be talking about that more in depth on tomorrow on his program. Then you have Alexander Levine. I'll have 2 shows also this week. They'll both be on the Pulse on Wednesday. And we'll talk about all sorts of crazy things and have a good time doing it. So thank you again. I will see you next Sunday for the Conservative Corner, and I will see you Wednesday on the Pulse. And remember, if you live your life by a set of principles and not a political party, you're going to lead a very good life and leave a legacy back that your family can be proud of. Everybody have a good evening.